Hey, Queens. Welcome back to Here for More because existing is not enough. This is episode 2, and we're going to talk about how survival mode is not a personality trait because a lot of times we get them very confused. I know I did. And I want to say this really early on in this podcast because it changes everything. At least it did for me. Um, it's survival mode is not who you are. It's something that your nervous system learned to do. And once I realized that and accepted it, I realized I had so much less work to do. I wasn't as bad as I thought. I was just in survival mode. Like, what? Like, a lot of women don't realize that the way they live, the way they move through their day, their jobs, their lives, their relationships, their friendships, their dreams, their goals, you know, reality in general, it's not our personality traits. It's patterns that we learn to keep us safe at one point. So survival mode doesn't always look dramatic. Like, I mean, it's not an episode of Days of Our Lives. Like, this isn't a daytime soap opera, it doesn't always have to look dramatic. And I personally kind of thought it did, but sometimes it just looks like being the really strong one. Like my family has always told me, "Oh, I never had to worry about you because you'll always figure it out." Like I was just the strong one. Sometimes it looks like staying really busy so that you don't have to feel those emotions. Guilty of that as well. Needing control to feel okay. Also guilty. Always preparing for the next thing, 1000%. Feeling numb, flat, or disconnected. I refer to that as stagnant. When you're just like in stagnant energy, you don't really know what's going on, don't really know what you're doing, you're just going through the motions. And it's because that when you've been in survival mode for so long, it just starts to feel like who you are. Um, I I'm just practical. I'm just not very emotional. I've always been this way. But what if that's not the truth? What if it's just your nervous system doing its job like really, really well? Like she's clocked in on overtime. Okay, your nervous system learned how to get you through life so far. It learned how to keep you functional. It learned how to keep you moving. It learned how to minimize all of your pain. And it did so without asking first. So if your life feels like you're doing more managing than anything meaningful, that doesn't mean that you're broken or you're doing anything wrong. It just means that your body has prioritized safety over fulfillment. And that made sense then. And here's another really tricky part. And this one was really hard for me is that when you've lived in survival mode for so long, any type of like calm or peace feels extremely unfamiliar, like uncharted territory. Like slowing down and resting feels incredibly unsafe. And like any desire or goals or taking like steps to achieve it feels extremely risky. Like, unfortunately, once you've lived in survival mode for so long, and when you're like in that, wanting more, wanting to expand or wanting more isn't exciting. It's terrifying. And that's why so many women talk themselves out of change. We might like work our way up to it. You get there and everything's unknown. And we go back to what's familiar. Almost, I just lived in loopholes of that. And it's not because we don't want more. It's because our nervous system doesn't feel safe enough yet to receive what we desire, what we're going after, what we want to achieve. So you can't like get rid of survival mode. You don't need to get rid of it. Like, what do we do about it? Right. And number one, again, this is a no judgment zone. So we don't shame ourselves. We're not shaming it for being in survival mode. There is no shame there. Like throughout my healing process, if I thought back to a time that put me into survival mode, one thing that pushed me further into this survival mode patterns and habits that I was looped into is just allowing yourself grace. Okay, I see now why I got into that mode. I see what put me there, and now I'm going to choose to do otherwise. Now I'm aware of it. I'm going to allow myself some grace, and I'm grateful that I'm moving forward from that because survival mode is not who we are. It's not what we've been through. That's not who we are as a person. So you can't shame it, you can't fix it, and you definitely cannot force yourself out of it. It's survival mode softens when it feels appreciated, not attacked, because it's just your nervous system doing its job. Ultimately, at the end of the day, your body relaxes when it feels understood, and fulfillment comes when it feels safe enough to receive it, not before it. So just take a little small pause with me and just notice, without trying to change anything, without any judgment, where you might still be like bracing for impact. Your jaws, your shoulder, your breath. And instead of asking, what's wrong with me? Okay, the next time you feel that way, like the next time you get a little anxious when you start thinking about goals or changing habits and patterns, like you start getting anxious, or instead of asking what's wrong with me, what's going on, try asking, what am I trying to protect myself from right now? And that question alone creates space and acknowledgement, because you're not your coping strategies. You're not your defense strategies. You're not the version of you who has learned how to survive. Those were skills, not identity traits. And there's a huge difference. Your nervous system, as it learns to safety, as you go through this, as you learn safety, you don't lose yourself. You meet parts of yourself that never really had room to exist because you were so busy trying to stay safe and trying to protect yourself and living in survival mode. So it's these patterns and these habits. I heard something once that said healing, going through healing and healing your nervous system isn't always sitting down and doing shadow work or digging through the trenches and thinking and talking about your experiences. Sometimes it's just providing your nervous system new experiences to show it that it's safe. And that has like clung with me forever. Like I have healed in a multitude of ways and varieties. I manifest differently than I think a lot of people think. You know, you can manifest however it works for you. You can you can do whatever works for you. That's the whole point of this, is getting to know yourself. What works for you? How do you function best? What do you enjoy? What do you have to start showing your nervous system that you are safe existing here? You are safe to receive more. You are safe and capable to hold more, to be more, to hold more money, to hold more knowledge, to be more than what you are right now. And it takes action and initiative. And you have to quit abandoning and deserting yourself to get there. That's why I mean, no force. We're doing this gently. Like when we think about where we hold this survival, it's it is in our body. Our body has an effect on our energy, and our energy has an effect on our reality. It's just the trickle effect. So when you're living in this, you can't receive, you're not going to receive that peace effortlessly. It's always going to feel like force and pressure until you're naturally there to attract it. And then cakewalk. But it just takes you understanding that that's not your identity trait. That's not who you are. It's what you've been taught. It's what you've learned. It's what you've experienced. You are not what you've been through. Okay. And the habits that you learned while you were surviving that is not who you are. So allow yourself some grace for those time periods in your life. Be grateful that your survival and your nervous system got you this far, but now it doesn't get to decide who you become. Okay. Getting true alchemy and alignment and really making peace with your nervous system and learning to work with it is an art. It's an art. It's an art form. It's a power. It's a process. Okay. And allowing yourself so much grace to get there is a huge step. That's a huge step. So just know from me to you that who you are in survival mode is not actually who you are. Like, I can confidently say that a majority of people that, have known me in person, I'm 38 years old now, and through my life up until recently, they knew who I was in survival mode. I can confidently say that they don't really know who I am now. Now that I've healed, now that I'm calm, now that I've found peace and healing your nervous system and working with it, I can tell you that anything that put you into survival mode, once you get over, that hurdle, it really truly on the other side, it just doesn't exist. I mean, it made me who I am. I'm grateful I got through it. Grateful for the experience and everything I learned during it, but will never ever put myself in those situations again. You know what I mean? And that alone changes your entire life. It changes your habits, your patterns, your desires, your relationships, your friendships. Everything that you do from here on out on this healing process is going to have a trickle effect. Okay. It's like a beautiful pyramid. Okay. A beautiful scientific pyramid. And this isn't like woo woo hippie. This is science. This is human nature. This is what we are designed to do. And unfortunately, uh, what we're taught and how the world is functioning right now is not in our favor most times. Like, we end up here at 38 years old where we have to backtrack and rewire ourselves completely out of survival mode. And that's okay. You can start however old you are, wherever you're at in life. But really working with your nervous system is the golden ticket. That's just the golden ticket to success, your abundance, your authenticity, your happiness, your desired reality, getting every manifestation that you've ever, ever, ever thought of. That is the root. It's the golden ticket. It's the key. It's your control panel. I call it that because that sounds cool. But we're stepping out of survival mode because that's no longer who we are. That's not where we're living. That's not where we're existing. That's not what we're doing. We don't tolerate that anymore. Grateful for her. Grateful for her for protecting us, keeping us safe, and getting us through this. Grateful for her for staying on deck just in case. But we're running the show now. Thanks for tuning in. This was Here for More because existing just is not enough.